Welcome everybody, Mr. Clean. I got a very special guest with me, Buzz Goree, and via Skype, he's going to tell me a little bit about himself, the Underground Resistance, Mixworks, his label, and all things Detroit techno. Buzz, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me. I know you're busy, and you guys got a lot of stuff going on, so I really appreciate your time.
Hey, it's no problem. It's good to be here talking with you. I got my start as a DJ as a young kid. I was influenced a lot earlier before I started. I was influenced to be a DJ at the age of about 9 and 10. I would watch, New Year's Eve when they have the ball dropping in New York. Back then, they were showing little clips New Year's Eve of parties going on in Studio 54. And I noticed the DJ was black, and I was like, wow, he's really got people dancing and really loving his music. And I kind of liked it, seeing that on the TV. And I knew, I was like, man, I wish I was old enough to be in New York, because they were really partying in Studio 54. Because the Studio 54, it went national. I mean, it was like the club in the United States to go to back then. So I knew they was, as a young kid, they was partying hard in Studio 54. So that was my early wake up calls to be wanting to DJ. But at the same time, Detroit radio was very good. We wasn't controlled by Detroit radio was really independent, more independent, and the radio station was playing good independent music, and as well as major labels. But back then, the major labels was putting good music, actually putting good music on their labels. We talking about disco music.
This is not the disco that we know of, like the Bee Gees one. This is like the underground stuff.
Right. This was like the late stages of disco. So there was a DJ on Detroit radio by the name of Tiger Dan. This guy, he really was old school. So I would listen to him. And one time I went roller skating, and I was walking home from the skate rink, and I got to my block, and I seen a whole bunch of cars parked on my block. I'm like, why is all these cars? And I was hearing music. I'm like, where's this music coming from? And as I was getting closer to my home, the music was getting louder and louder and louder. Before I got in front of my house, there was a full major backyard party. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I go and my mom, I'm like, oh, hi, we having a party. So what happened was my mom had rented out the backyard to our neighbor's daughter, let her throw this party. And like I said, I was like 10, 11 years old, and the people that was at this party was 16, 17, 18. And, I stood there, and the DJ was set up in the garage, and I stood there in the garage and watched the DJ all night. I could not move because I was mesmerized watching two turntables going at the same time. And I was sitting there looking like, what is going on? What record is playing? Why is he spinning this other record while the other record is playing? So I sat there and watched that, and I was very fascinated from it. So after that, that was a fun experience. Then a couple years after that, my cousin Eric, he was just graduated high school, Cass Tech, and he had went away to the Marines. When he left, me and my other cousin, we was all sad that he was leaving, because we were young. We thought he was gonna be gone for a long time. We were born. So about a year and a half later, he called me. He said, "Hey man, I'm in Japan. I'm gonna bring back a whole bunch of equipment for DJing." So I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, my cousin's in Japan. He's coming home with equipment. I mean, back then, they tell a 12-year-old kid he's coming home. Someone's bringing you equipment. Like, wow, it's like Christmas. Santa's here. Santa's came to the hood. So he came home for a summer furlough with all this great equipment, and we went outside in the backyard, threw parties, and next thing you know, we started DJing. He came home for that summer, and then he left. And then I met another. I got to be. And I was about 2 years later. I met a guy who said his uncle had some equipment. I went over to his house with him, playing with the equipment. So I knew then I was really interested in this craft. And once I got in high school, I met with some guys that had equipment. And, told them I had a little experience at DJing. And when they heard me play, they were like, "Wow, you really know how to DJ." I think I had learned how finally learned how to operate pitch control. So from that and Detroit radio at that time, we had a DJ by the name of the Electrifying Mojo. Now, this guy was a very fascinating DJ. He wasn't your average radio DJ. This guy played from Bob Marley to the B-52s to James Brown to Jimi Hendrix. I mean, he just went to every music genre, educating Detroit people about good music, funk, and just all good music. And he was a lot able to. He had the freedom on the airways to play what he wanted, and he really had the listeners tuned in to him. And every time I see him to this day, I always thank him for not letting for playing positive music for us. Because today these DJs on these radio stations, you see what they're playing, they pop, kill, shake your booty. So I don't respect radio anymore. Playing that music, all it's doing is killing our youth, it's killing their brain. So that was, that's how I started my long journey as becoming a DJ.
Earlier, you referred to being a DJ as a craft, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it truly is a craft. You really have to have a good ear for key, for pitch, and matching beats is not as easy as people might think it is. Can you tell our listeners a little more?
You gotta have a feel of a record, an intro, a build-up, and a breakdown. And a lot of times people think a lot of guys who spin records is the difference. You got DJs and you got guys who spin records. Totally different. Guys who spin records, in my opinion, are more hobbyists. DJs is blood, sweat, and tears. DJs, live live to play music.
Right.
So, first you have to decide, where you fit in as a DJ or a guy who spins records. And once you define yourself with that, you just have to become an instrument in itself. You just got to know the feel of a record. You got to know the 4/4 measure of a record. Once you learn that, and people do know it just by feel. When you hear a sound, a breakdown is about to come. If you got any kind of rhythm in you, you can feel it more than before you can even hear it. You can feel that the breakdown is about to come. So basically, you already predicted what the record's going to do before it does it. That's because you're feeling the record, the measures of the song. So that's one thing that you have to learn. Being a DJ, the structures of different records. Because every record is not considered what we consider industry DJ friendly. So that's why you got a lot of guys who first learn how to spin. They find a record that they can beat match very good. Before you know it, it becomes their favorite record. Because they can really mix the record really well, and it sounds good as they mix it. So that's why when I promote my label, I like to promote it to new DJs, because they're the guys who really gonna love that record, respect that record. They got a free record and it's playing. Guys, DJs that's really established, they get hot records all the time, so they just let their personality pick the record. Early house music wasn't out. We would call it progressive music. So it basically, the progressive music was mostly, people who listened to progressive music had an abstract, had artistic or visional music, So the music was fresh, and it was, and it kept me interested in becoming, more involved in the music as a DJ. So I learned all that, like I said, at the age of 15, and I was able to get put on the platforms to play these good venues at a very young age because of my talent as a